Good evening. Welcome to the MSAD 51 School Board of Directors meeting, Thursday, December 4th. We have some nice snow on the ground. It's starting to feel like the holidays. We're going to kick off today's meeting with some highlights from MIW. I'd love to welcome the principal and vice principal of MIW, Corey and Mallory, to talk about fostering a community. Thank you. Not yet. We're gonna need it. Yeah, right. I know, right?
Maybe I'm on it.
I know, right? Need a little technical assistance. Can we swap it out, maybe? Oh, now I don't think mine's working either.
I think they're all off.
Mine was working.
Yeah.
Well,
Easing right into
Oh,
it.
okay.
and I ran out of clinic and was like, I got it.
Technology.
I have no in scrubs, which I feel.
You should be right, Brett.
Exorcism is my forte. Yeah,
I don't know what he's doing.
he's doing it.
Hello.
None of them are working right now. This one's mine was working and now it's not working either.
Tomorrow's the 5th. Communications is tomorrow.
This was and now it's not. Oh, is that no? Yes, no.
Facilities is tonight. Testing.
Test, no.
Last week.
No, that's okay.
Technical malfunction.
No.
That's such a hard time. How's baby?
Good. He's crawling. He started crawling like 3 weeks ago.
No, if we weren't recording everything, then we wouldn't need the mics. Right? I know this is probably getting recorded. You can come sit here too.
Take your time.
Such a ghost in the machine tonight. You're doing really good. I'm sorry it's being such a pain.
Does it work? Test.
Oh,
Hey!
Thank you.
Nice job, Ryan.
Go Ryan! You don't often get to come over. And Ethan. Great.
All right, are we ready now?
Welcome.
All right. Well, again, I am Corey Munsey, principal of MIW, and this is Mallory Orzechowski, the assistant principal, and we are happy to share with you a brief presentation about sort of some of the things that we don't always get to talk about that happens at MIW. And so what we've been trying to do over the past number of years, and it's been ongoing for many, but really putting a focus on our community and really working with our students and our staff on thinking about more global situations and helping other people. And so tonight we're going to share some of the highlights that we have with you and some of the different activities that our kids and our staff have been doing. The goal, really the overarching goal, is to teach our young students a sense of community, responsibility, and the importance of helping others, which does connect to Greeley's profile of a learner, being a global citizen, and also 21st century skills of responsible and involved citizens. We have 4 different things that we're going to highlight for you tonight, and we're going to kind of take turns. Those are the list of 4. We'll figure that out in a minute.
Okay. One of our favorite things to do, and I'm so glad so many of our staff are actually here because they're a big part of this, is we celebrate our veterans every year. Corey has had the distinct, joyful privilege of working with me as a leadership team for 4 years. And on our first year, we started this, and it has grown. So we have an assembly every year around Veterans Day, and it was so close to the day that we thought there's no reason we shouldn't be making this all about the service to our country and what is a veteran, and such an important pillar and part of our community. And we know we have veterans among us everywhere, and so we wanted to see if we could get some friends into our building and to share just their presence with us and the sort of selfless nature of these people that we wanted our students to be around. So the first year, it was our first year together. We kind of put it together quickly. We had 7 people. We were so thrilled. Parents, dads, grandparents came in. Some of them said, I remember that gentleman on the further end for me, saying it was like the happiest moment he'd had in years. Just seeing the children smiling, singing, waving their flags. I mean, some of us cry a lot. Some of us not so much, but that one will get you going because it's so special. The next year we had a few more, so it was growing. It was still only year 2, but more dads, more grandparents, more papas and grandfathers. It was beautiful. Even Mr. Gray, you know it. Yeah, he's a regular. We force him to take the time and come, and he's so special. So, and then the next year we, more than doubled. We had 24, and a lot. It's worth saying, too, that a lot of our veterans will reach out and want to make it, but sometimes they're deployed or just not available or have other obligations. So this is definitely not everyone, but it's the people who could physically come. And then this year we had allegedly only one more, but it felt like a lot. And we had plans to have someone come in virtually from being stationed in Hawaii, and that person got pulled with some things that were going on and shutdowns and things like that, so we couldn't have her. But so many moms, dads, and grandparents now make it a regular occurrence. Mr. Gray actually couldn't make it to this one either, but he was with us in spirit. And you can't see all of our kids, but for those of us who have experienced these assemblies, it's a really beautiful thing and these are the unseen moments, right? These are the things that happen that aren't reading, writing, and math, but that are so important for our little ones to learn about. So they learn all about the holidays from their wonderful teacher. What's the purpose? What's the meaning? And then we all come together and we sing thank you songs and we give cards, and it's just a beautiful experience. In fact, Corey he collects thank you notes and cards from our kids and teachers, and he delivers them on actual Veterans Day to many different veterans in the state. So it's just a beautiful, kind of a wider spread thing that we're trying to start here in our school and then kind of filter out to the community. And this is another little thing that we do.
So Jonna King, I'm sure many of you know who she is. She has been organizing donations from our school for, she says, at least 15 years. She didn't know when it actually started. But for at least 15 years, she has been reaching out to our teachers in our community and sort of saying the food pantry is really looking for these specific items. If you can donate, we have bins in the hallway. And it really, every year it feels like we get more and more food. I don't know if we do or not, but there's a different focus every month. And we thought it was really important to sort of highlight this, A, because Johnny King is just absolutely a treasure and she's amazing. But B, it also goes along with sort of teaching kids that there's other people in the world and we need to help them when we can, because at some point you may need some help and that's okay as well. And so we have a few pictures. After they collect all the food, they load them up on the school bus and they go down to the food pantry and they actually make a donation there every month, which is incredibly special. And you can see all of the smiles on the faces, and I won't say any names, but the little kiddo in the middle giving the heart sign is enough to melt your heart. And the kids feel super connected to not only the food pantry, but also to each other. And this next picture is just Jonna sent it to me thinking I'd probably cry when I saw it. But she's like, you don't have to show that. But I'm like, I'm going to show it. And this is them just sort of, I know, just completely unprompted, holding hands on the school bus, just feeling like we're in this together and we're going to go donate some food. So a big shout out to Jonna and our community, because we donate a ton of food to the food pantry, and it's pretty special to see them loading up the school bus every month. This one is a new one. We actually had a gentleman reach out to us, and I'll read you his very brief email in a moment, but asking for some holiday card donations. And we have never done this before. It wasn't really on our bingo card this year, but he reached out and it was a very sweet email. And he said, I'll summarize it for you, but he's from Biddeford Estates. And he said, we're an assisted living facility for the elderly in Biddeford. I was wondering if any of your teachers there would be interested in making some winter cards for our residents. Unfortunately, not all of our residents have family, and I know this would mean so much to them to be thought of during the holiday season. So I sent this email to our team leaders just saying completely optional. It wasn't part of our plan for the year, but if anybody or their students are interested in making any holiday cards, let me know. And I immediately, within like 30 seconds, had people like, we're doing this, we're in it. And so we haven't completed this activity yet, but it is sort of a really nice, again, just thinking about other people and thinking that there are some people who don't have family during the holidays, and just a simple little card can really brighten their day. So we'll have more to share about this as the cards come rolling in, but we are very excited about it.
Okay, so some of you have heard about this event. I hope you have. This idea was not ours. We did steal it from a different district, of course. But Corey actually saw the video a couple summers ago, and sent it to me. And I just became overjoyed. And it was this idea that seniors would meet our kindergartners at the beginning of the school year on a field and come together. So, of course, we did that. These were some of the cards that our high schoolers made for our littles and gave them this book, I Wish You More, which we picked out the books. All of our admin at the high school, shout out to them, because they supported this from the get-go. We sent them the video, said, hey, would you mind doing this with us like a year in advance, just to get it earmarked and ready, and be thoughtful about it. And the ideas around it continue to evolve, but this is what we ended up doing. They spent like their very first advisory making these cards with little special notes like, have fun, welcome to the district, you're going to love it. Just different little bits of advice for our kindergartners. Put them in these adorable bags with this book for one each kid, and then they lined up at one end. And I think hopefully some of you were able to see our video and the footage, but this was when everybody kind of met. It was the first time we'd done it. It's the beginning of the year. In kindergarten at the beginning of the year, that's a lot to get them all up there. It's a long walk. We got to put our feet on the beautiful turf fields for the first time. And I have to say the best part, other than just it being a really beautiful moment for every parent who could come, all of us, all the teachers who brought our students, it was watching, for me, it was our seniors. It was our big kids that I didn't even have, the privilege of being with when they were little. They are so responsible, so kind, so loving, so down to earth with our littles. It wasn't something, that they just had to do. They were really sweet. They knelt down, they talked to the kids. It lasted, we could have kept it going forever. We at some point just had to say, okay, I'm so sorry, we have to leave. But it was beautiful, and we're so proud. And it was wonderful for our 5-year-olds, some even 4 at that time, to look up to these big kids who are going off to their whole life and see, like, that's really going to be me someday. And these kids are so responsible. It was awesome. If you listened into those conversations, they were beautiful. Hey, what do you like? What's your favorite hobby? Do you have any brothers or sisters? It was just darling. And this was our first year doing it. So now that we've done it once, we're here for it. We're just going to keep it going as long as we possibly can. It's a beautiful thing. And I hope, similar to our Veterans Day assemblies, it will continue to grow with community presence, parents making sure that they can come, and us being able to really make it more and more special every year. Okay, and now Corey's going to give you some updates, sort of aside from our highlight, but we understand that everyone would like to hear a little bit about some of the future forward work that we're doing, and so he's going to do that.
So we have the Pre-K to 1 Transition Committee, as you know, and we have met just one time. We have an unbelievable team on the committee, though, made up of various stakeholders, parents, and it was the first time, our first meeting, I was a little bit nervous, just getting everybody in the room and doing updates and getting to know you, but the group is amazing. They are going to be the perfect team to help us as we transition to a new building. So we talked about the goals of the committee. We did some general updates. We have been, like you all, sort of consumed with the all-campus project for a long time, but for many of the committee members, they needed an update and sort of, here's the layout of the building. And so we spent some time doing that. And then probably my favorite part of the meeting was at the very end, we did like a closing circle. And the question that we posed was, thinking about your own strengths, how can you help this committee and this ultimately the transition be successful? And the things that people shared were like, I'm really good at attention to details, and I'm really good at big picture thinking. I'm a strategic thinker. And I feel like people were sharing like really, really important things about themselves that we can now use to ensure that the work is progressing in a nice way and we can find balance between everybody's own self-identified strengths. This committee is going to meet once a month for the next 18 months, and we have a lot of work to do, as you might imagine. And one of our committee members, a parent, is actually, in her professional life, she is a strategic planner for companies and helps move work forward, which is perfect. So I'm actually going to meet with her tomorrow to sort of pick her brain a little bit to help us really focus in for the December meeting. The other committee that is going on is the Playground Committee, which is, I don't have favorites, but I very much am partial to the Playground Committee. Again, we've only had one meeting. It's a great group. It's a much smaller group. Everybody on that committee is volunteering their time, which I appreciate. The architects came to the first meeting and we sort of laid out again the ground. This is how much square footage we have. This is the budget. These are some different ground ideas that we can do. And then the committee just sort of went for it in terms of things that they liked and things that they didn't like. And it was really just sort of a pretty organic conversation about outdoor spaces, outdoor learning, outdoor play. And we have a folder now where committee members are putting pictures in from different playgrounds that they're going to visit. And we're really trying to balance the natural playscape idea versus the traditional playground and what is it going to look like. And it's a wonderful committee. Again, we've only met once, but our next meeting in December, the architects feel like they have enough to at least start giving us a concept design of what a potential playground may look like. In the interim, in between first meeting and second meeting, 2 of our staff members on the committee, we had them actually interview some students to get their feedback, really focusing on pre-K, K, and 1. So I think they talked to I think it was eight preschoolers, 14 kindergartners, and 15 first graders, just asking some really big picture questions. And as you would imagine, their answers are amazing. The first question is, what do you like to do on a playground? So Gaga Ball was very popular, as everybody knows. One of my favorite ones is they wanted a set of monkey bars that connect between two different playgrounds. So very long set of monkey bars. And then one that I don't think we're going to do, but it does get an honorable mention, is they would like a zip line on the playground. I can already hear the nurses like, hard no. And then two other questions. It was like, do you like to climb? Do you like slides? Do you like swings? And we just kind of gathered sort of a general sense. And then the last question is, would you rather have a traditional playground or a more natural playground? And of course, they kind of explained in 5-year-old terms what that means. And almost universally, all of the students that we sampled want a mix of both natural playscapes, but also a traditional sense. So it's always good to have student voice in any process. Obviously, it's a very small sample, and we're going to continue to meet through both of those teams over the next. Playground committee will wrap up actually pretty soon, but the transition committee will go through the transition. No questions? Good. No. Questions?
Thank you so much for bringing this forward, and really appreciate the sense of community you've created, you and your staff at MIW, and it's so wonderful to hear about the programs. So I don't know if anyone has any particular questions. But yeah, the highlights are just lovely.
Just leave that up.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right. So now we're going to move into approval of minutes. We have a couple extra chairs if we can always pick up the materials from the chair if people would like to sit. All right, so can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the November 20th, 2025 meeting?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Megan. Jesse and then Megan. Great. Any questions or comments about the meeting minutes? Oh, yes.
Anne Graham wasn't actually present. I don't know if that matters or for
Oh, thank you.
the notes.
Yeah, that was on the agenda, but yeah, she wasn't able to attend.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting that. Great. Anything else? Great. All in favor? Great. It's unanimous. Okay, so now we're going to move into public comment. I do know a couple people might have come in and missed the sign up if they're interested in speaking. Okay, in case. All in favor? Whoa. All right. That I know, not hearing your own voice is not the best thing. Okay, let's not do that again. So the board welcomes and recognizes the value of public comment, and to ensure public comment is fair and orderly, we do follow procedures outlined in our board policy BEDH, and we ask that all members of the public do so as well. We follow this policy to help keep the meeting civil, respectful, and productive. I also want to mention that public comment is one of the many ways that people can engage with the school board. We know the format of public comment is not a back and forth in the way that some community members are looking for, and so always feel free to reach out to us directly. For comment tonight, we do have this sign-up list that I will go through in order. And our policy allows for 30 total minutes of public comment, although that can be modified at the discretion of the board. And I will use the list, and we ask that speakers use the designated podium when making their comments and speak into the microphone. Comments by individuals are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes at a meeting, and the clock will be visible to help you keep track of time. And once the 3 minutes go off, please try to wrap up your comments. When you do go to the podium, please just state your name and town of residence. And lastly, just please keep comments respectful and civil here. That includes members of the audience. Please do not respond to any speaker's comments. And that we ask that all comments be addressed directly to me as chair, and please do not direct comments at or about individuals in our schools or community. But yes, I'll start to go through the list. And up at the top is Shirley Story King. Thanks, Shirley.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Thanks for allowing me to speak. I have 2 items on my agenda, but 2 more pop to the top. One is first a gratefulness for the work MIW is doing, and I listened with hopeful ears because they hit all our targeted vulnerable populations, seniors, veterans, and people who use the food pantry. And those are all the people we advocate for in some of our taxpayer work that we frequently appear here to discuss. The second comment I have is a little bit unfiltered, only because of this audience. In my conversations with many of you, my priorities have always been spend your money closest to where the students are. And the people in this audience tonight are the people, along with teachers, classroom teachers, closest to where the students are. And I'm a little bit cranky about this, but I look at what administrators got for increases in last year's budget and the total amount that was spent, and I think, oh my gosh, 8% of those salaries is much larger than a 3% or even a 5% of an ed tech salary. So I just want you to think about that perspective. My third comment, I guess, is from a resident today who reached out. I don't know if he reached out to you or not, concerned about the budget finance meetings that are Fridays at 2. And he was told that those finance meetings were going to be moved to the evening. In fact, that December's would be moved to the evenings, and it's not. It's scheduled for a week from Friday at 2 p.m. So I'm sharing that concern on behalf of another resident. And then finally, I've spoken to you before, and I've spoken to the town council about pre-K, early pre-K and 3-4. And I wanted to share a little anecdote, my personal experience. I had a child who received private services and school services. So when he reached age 5, he was no longer eligible for CDS services. He was receiving CDS services and private services age 20 months, I think, to age 5. When he reached age 5, he was not ready for school, but he could only get public services if he attended school. So Judy True was special ed director at the time. She was great to work with. She came to our CDS meeting. We worked on a transition plan where my son would come to school 3 times a week and get his services. And then he would come home to his other programs. He would come home to his in-home daycare and get his other services after I got out of school at the end of the day. So there are lots of models to look at, and I really implore you, am I out of time?
It just ran out. So
I'm going to send you some notes.
I would appreciate that. Thank you so much, Shirley. Thank you. Next, I have Gregory Greenlee.
Good evening. My name is Gregory Greenleaf, and I'm the president of the MSAD 51 Education Association. It is my great privilege to be here tonight to advocate for the dedicated and hardworking education support professionals. I've been thinking a lot about walls lately. I recently came across a quote by President Bill Clinton said about 30 years ago. He was promoting new school construction across America and said that we cannot expect our children to raise themselves up in schools that are literally falling down. I'm happy to report that when I look around the district, I see new construction, I see buildings going up, and read a banner that we are one campus. But are we one campus? I worry that when folks go 522 days without a pay raise, and 157 days without a contract, it creates cracks in the foundation. It creates walls that divide. I worry that as kids try to raise themselves up, the district is at risk of falling down on the job. Figuratively speaking, the ESPs work well with a metaphor about school construction. They are the nails, the glue, the frame, the structures that children turn to every day for support. What we find surprising is that as the district finances and invests so much money in new walls, it is unwilling to invest in the people who will work within those walls. It is my hope that you will come away from this evening with a renewed commitment to lay a stronger educational foundation. Offer the educational support professionals a fair contract now. Thank you.
Thank you, Gregory. Don Lane.
Little short, and I'm getting old, so I need these. My name is Dawn Lane. I'm actually a resident of Poland, but I am a school counselor here at MIW, and I've been working here for 21 years. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to address you here this evening. Throughout my years in this district, a lot has changed, but some things have always remained true, and one of those is the dedication with which the staff in this district work to support all students. And our ESPs are at the center of that work. ESPs work with all of our students in various capacities, but they are also often the ones responsible for helping our neediest learners. These individuals are at the front lines, and they give their heart and soul to our students. What saddens me the most is not that I need to be here tonight to help them fight for a fair contract, but that in a district which puts such a high value on education, why do we have to fight so much for fair contracts for all of the staff members who work closest with students? Not just ESPs, but bus drivers and teachers as well. If as a district we value education, then we also need to show that we value the individuals who provide that education, care, and support in each and every day by allowing all of us to have fair contracts. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Jessica Cole.
Good evening. I'm Jessica Cole, and I will speak quickly because my notes are many. Thanks for letting me talk tonight. Frankly, it feels a little reductive to have to come up here and beg for my supper, and a little insulting. Alas, here we are. So let me begin. I figured it would be a good way to start this by looking at our core values that are listed on the website that we all agree to as both board members and employees of the district. The first one, we believe in educational culture that focuses on students and their sustained learning. The second, we believe students will be motivated to pursue lifelong learning in an environment that encourages creativity, communication, collaboration, and critical thinking. I think we're all doing that. I think we all agree on those. We're the #1 district in Maine. There's a reason for that. We're delivering. Now it's your turn to deliver for your employees. Number 3, we believe the ability to adapt and respond to change is essential. Gosh, do we adapt every day? Different roles, different demands on the staff, different class sizes, different things going on in our building. We're adapting. Now it's your turn to adapt to a different fiscal reality and a different financial reality for your employees. Number 4, we believe in promoting a safe, caring, and ethical learning environment. I think we all know that every person in here cares about your children, or we wouldn't be doing this. Now it's your turn to show us that you care for your employees and give us a fair and competitive wage. Number 5, we believe quality education is an investment in our students, our staff, and our communities. We're showing that every day. #1 school in Maine. Now it's your turn to invest in us, your staff. Number 6, we believe all staff members play an integral part in education of our students. Integral part, folks. It's your turn to show that you're abiding by those core beliefs and show us that you truly believe that. Number 7, we believe students, staff, families, community members have a personal and collective responsibility in the educational process. We're showing up every day, without a contract, without a raise in almost a year and a half. Now it's your turn to step up and show up for us. We've gone to mediation 3 times as many years as I've been here. That's an alarming pattern. I had a staff member say, gosh, what is that saying about our board that it feels so combative with their employees? And I said, gosh, I can't answer that. I'll leave that to you. 11 minutes, my final, if you will allow me. I encourage the board to engage in critical thinking here. You all are elected officials, after all. Do your current actions show you are committed partners in achieving our core values as a district? If one of your children goes into teaching, will you be able to look them in the eye and tell them that you've advocated for their profession? We are the sum of all of our parts: bus drivers, ed techs, teachers, custodians, all of us. I forgot somebody if I did.
Thank you.
We're all doing our job. Your community is watching and waiting for your next move.
Thank you so much for your time. Michelle Hamilton.
Hello, my name is Michelle Hamilton, and I've worked for the district for 20 years. In those years, I've been a substitute teacher, a long-term substitute, special ed tech, and a regular ed tech. I just want to be clear, I love my job. It's my life. I am disappointed that we are 157 days without a contract again, which I am disappointed that a fair contract similar to our neighboring districts is taking this long. Please reconsider your current position and put an end to this quickly. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Michelle. Margaret McDewitt. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to try to hold this and do this. I didn't think I was so far up near the top. Good evening. My name is Margaret McDevitt. I am a 30-year community member and taxpayer. My 3 children all attended the Greeley schools and graduated from Greeley High School. I am in my 23rd year as an ed tech at Mabel I. Wilson. I am going to speak about significant numbers tonight. You've heard a few of them. Bear with me that you're going to hear them again. The number 2. 2 represents the second consecutive ESP contract that has gone to mediation. The number 4. 4 represents the number of contracts that have consecutively gone to mediation. The ESPs, bus drivers, teachers, and now ESPs again. The number 157. 157 represents the number of days that ESPs are without a contract. The number 522. 522 represents the days that ESPs are without a raise. The number 676. 676 represents the number of students at Mabel I. Wilson. 676 is the number of students that ESPs interact with every day at Mabel I. Wilson. ESPs are vital to the school community and to the success of our students becoming lifelong learners. Our high school is continually at the top in national and regional rankings. ESPs are a large reason for that success. MSAD 51 ESPs deserve some tangible evidence to demonstrate the value we bring to the district. That tangible evidence starts with a fair contract and fair language and fair wages. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. Kelly, Kite, thank you. Sorry about the names.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Kite. I'm a resident of Gray, but I'm a ed tech at Mabel I. Wilson School. I'm here as part of the MIW ed tech team. I want to begin by recognizing the tremendous effort our negotiations team is putting in. They are working tirelessly to secure a fair contract, one that reflects the true value we bring to this district every single day. And every day, we do a lot. We cover 5 duties: lunches, recesses, arrival, and dismissal. We support classrooms, manage behaviors, offer guidance, and help the school run safely and smoothly. At MIW alone, we work with 175 struggling students every single day, giving them academic, emotional, and developmental support that helps them grow. And we build relationships, with students that last long after they leave MIW. Many come back to visit because they remember the care, patience, and stability we provide. I also want to recognize the school secretaries, who are essential in ways that go far beyond just answering the phones. They are often the first adults the children see every day when they are sick, scared, or when they forgot their lunchbox on the bus. They are the calming presence at the front desk, the problem solvers, the caregivers, and the heartbeat of our school. This is the work we do quietly, consistently, and with deep commitment every day, because we care about your children and we are dedicated to their success. Please give us a fair contract that shows you value what we bring to the schools.
Thank you, Kelly. Luann Brooks.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me the time to speak my truth. My name is Luann Balzano Brooks. My husband Jeffrey and I have lived in Cumberland for 40 years. I'm an ed tech at Wilson School, and I'm in my 24th year of service there. I love my job. I feel gratification giving back to the community that has given so much to me and to my whole family. My husband taught in this district for over 40 years and is now a food service employee as well as a van driver for our MSAD 51. Our 3 kids went to school here and graduated from Greeley and got great education. Our son Jonathan is an ed tech at Greeley High School. We also have 2 grandsons who attend Greeley Middle School. My point that I'm making tonight is that my family is very invested in and dedicated to this community and to this school. We take pride in our town and in our schools. And I'm here tonight because ESPs, secretaries, and ed techs have been working without a contract for 157 days. This is not okay. It's very hard to make ends meet in this economy, and even harder when you haven't had a raise since July 1, 2024. We are all hardworking. We are a vital part of our students' success. We deserve a wage that is comparable to our neighboring communities and districts, Yarmouth and Falmouth. We aren't even close. We deserve to make a living wage that allows us to not have to work a second job to pay our bills. Over 50% of ESPs do work a second job, by the way. We deserve a contract that is fair. We deserve it now. It's long overdue. Thank you for your time. And thank you to everyone who has come out here tonight in support. You are appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Luann. Lena Boardman? Linda.
Good evening. My name is Linda Boardman. I'm a 25-year resident of North Yarmouth. My husband and I have raised our kids here, and they both went through this school system and graduated from Greeley. I've been in ed tech here at Greeley High School for 7 years and feel very lucky to work with the students and staff that are part of this district. The people here are extraordinarily dedicated. We are fortunate to live in a community that values education and to have been the #1 ranked high school in Maine for 3 years in a row. We as community members, students, and staff should be proud of that. Unfortunately, it feels very disheartening when our ed techs and administrative assistants, who are such an integral part of our schools, have gone without a contract since June 30th and haven't had a raise for 522 days. Our wages do not match those of surrounding schools, and we deserve better. Please show that you value your essential and hardworking education support professionals by providing us with a fair contract. We show up for this community and the students in it every day, and it's discouraging to have to fight so hard for fair and competitive wages. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Linda. Carol McDonald.
Good evening. My name is Carol McDonald, and I am here tonight as a 5-year employee, Cumberland resident, and taxpayer to ask you all to please provide we, the hardworking ed techs and secretaries, a fair and equitable contract. We touch the lives of so many MSAD 51 students each and every day. We all wear many hats. We deserve a fair contract, and we deserve a raise. It is the right thing to do. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Emily Kearns.
Good evening. My name is Emily Kierans. I am a Cumberland resident, parent of 2 Greeley High School students, and I'm also a teacher at MIW. I am here tonight to show my support for our amazing and dedicated ed techs and secretaries, and I am also here to express grave concern with what seems to be an alarming pattern. I am disheartened that this is the 4th consecutive contract negotiation that has not been resolved on time. Every contract negotiation for the past several years has not been ratified before the start of school. For our ESPs, this is their 2nd contract and 2nd school year start where they are expected to work without a contract and therefore without a raise. This creates uncertainty and low staff morale district-wide. I was part of the negotiations team for the last teacher contract, and I can attest to the time and energy spent outside of school hours. I realize the efforts that all involved in negotiations are making, and it's not enough. It should not be the norm to have negotiations extend to summer break. It should not be acceptable to have staff start their new school year without updated working conditions, language, and without a raise. Contract negotiation is a difficult and time-consuming process. I urge you to reflect on current and past procedures and timelines. The space we are in, this pattern feels preventable. My hope, beyond a speedy resolution for this contract, is that our entire staff continue to feel valued and respected. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Emily. Jeff Brooks.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Brooks. You've heard all this a few times, but I'll say it again. I taught at the elementary level in this district for 39 years, and after retiring was a special ed tech for 5. Now I'm working in the kitchen at Wilson School and driving a van transporting students. My wife and I, as she said, have lived in Cumberland for almost 40 years, and our 3 children went through the system. Through those many years and from those different perspectives, I've seen a lot of the inner workings of SAD 51, as you can imagine. Most of it has been great, and it's made me proud to be part of what we all know to be one of the best districts in the state. What's going on now, however, with regard to the way the ESPs are being treated is not good. 157 days without a contract, hours and hours of unproductive negotiations, all reminiscent of their last protracted contract battle. What's going on? How hard should it be to give some of our most valuable workers, the ones that, from my perspectives, do some of the most demanding and important work? How hard should it be to give them a fair wage and decent benefits? The new contract should be settled quickly and should reflect the values of this district I know so well. In SAD 51, all employees are valued and respected. Let's make that a reality for ESPs too. Thank you.
Thank you. Is it Henry Orlando? Did I get that right? Thanks, Henry.
Good evening. I'm Henry Orlando. I reside in North Yarmouth. We've been in North Yarmouth for 11 years. I have 6 grandsons in this system. I'm wearing one of his shirts. Right. I value their education, and I understand what a great educational system this is. And when I got hired back in 23, 24, I was ecstatic. I got to be in an educational system as great as this. But as long as this is so great, okay, which it is, my grandsons have gotten the best educational treatment and lessons, and it's been a blessing that they are here in this community. The only thing I've also worried about this contract situation. Now, I've also worked at the Postal Service for 40 years. This is kind of the funny thing. I said to my wife after I retired back in 2022, I applied. And she looked at me and said, "You crazy?" She goes, "That's another career." I go, "Yeah, it is." But I went to school for that. I went to school in Vermont, and I had this opportunity, which Corey Muncie and Mrs. O, Mallory, gave to me, and I appreciate that. But in the same respect, you guys have to understand, you people in the committee have to understand what quality educators that we have in every aspect. And, you know, I had a friend that sent his child here because of all the special care. But please, I want you to consider strongly, immediately, ASAP, to take this contract, sign this contract, and give these educators what they're here for. You know, they just give so much. I'd like to stress, I have 2 older sisters who got upset that I went to the post office way back 43 years ago, and they wanted me to go to teach. I had some jobs that I could have gone to. But back then, the post office was paying me over double what the teachers were getting. And I wanted to start my life with the woman I'm married to for 44 years. And still married. So what I'm just saying is, I've been involved in that union. I understand union contracts. I have been a shop steward for the United States Postal Service Union. I have seen both sides. But as I talk to Corey, and as I talk to other teachers, we are all under one roof. One roof. And we have an obligation. We have an obligation to our young. They're our investment. When I think of those children, where am I going to be if I'm in a nursing home? If they can't help, if they can't provide. We have to keep going. But to keep going, we have to keep our teachers And these teachers are just fantastic. And I this year, I got to work with kindergarten children. I was scared to death. I couldn't believe
Thank you so much, Henry. Appreciate you.
But the thing is, let me just tell you.
Thank you.
That's probably one of the most important years of their life. And it's incredible. And what I've learned from Jonna King, working with Jonna King. We all know Jonna King. She's amazing.
Thank you so much, Henry.
She's amazing. So please, I'm just here to consider, to ask you to consider getting this done immediately.
Okay.
You know, in the Christmas spirit, let's get this done. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Jessica Windsor. And that is the last I had on my list.
Hello, board. My name's Jessica Windsor, and I'm a secretary at Greeley Middle School. I had a whole write-up, but you guys did it so beautifully. I can't say it better than what you've done. I just want to say that I am so proud to come to work every day, and you guys need to keep us because we're awesome. And we laugh and we play with your kids. We mother your kids. We father your kids. We hug, we play, we dance, we sing. We get dirty, we put Band-Aids, we answer your emails, we answer the phones, we get dirty, we cry, we laugh, we help our administrators. We do it all. And you need to keep us because we're awesome and we are part of your community and we're part of this district that's top with all the fancy new stuff going up everywhere. We're part of that, okay? And we need you to keep us. And we need a contract, and we want contracts on time. And we want contracts that show that you're listening to the things we're asking for. And we want contracts so we can pay our bills, and so I can shop somewhere other than Goodwill, right? All right? I'm a secretary, yes, but I'm more like an octopus. I'm an administrative assistant. I'm a mother. I'm a friend to your children, to these people are amazing, and you need to keep us. And you need to pay us. You need to be bold and brilliant and be the leaders if you want to be a top school. What does that mean if you're not paving the way for everybody? Staff, admin, teachers, community, everybody. You can't just get your A's and your B's and your fancy things. You need to pay the people so they show up and do what we do for you guys. So please wrap this up and let's have some fun together because this divides us. This leads to people leaving. It creates animosity between the divisions of the departments, the people, and we don't want that. We don't need that. You don't need that. We want to be here and you want us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. So thank you, everyone. We continue to work in good faith through the established process and look forward to a fair resolution as soon as possible. And so, like I said, we continue to work through the established process and look forward to a fair settlement. Thank you. And you're welcome to stay for some drumming. Great. So welcome John Marlowe, who's going to talk about Guinea reeds.
First, thanks, Jeff, for allowing me to come here. At one point, you invited me to come and share the things that we've done. within the school. So I'm a third grade teacher over at MIW, and I also am a founder of a nonprofit called Guinea Reads. And I'll tell you a little bit more, but you'll be able to hear a little bit. I also want to thank Kevin Rollins because he let me come and join his music class this year. So I race over to the high school before we start, and he lets me join in, and we learn about West African culture. Before I jump in, just kind of showing where Guinea, West Africa is. You can see it's sub-Sahara West Africa, and rather than just talk about it, a few of the students have decided to boldly join me while we play a little bit. So I'm going to jump over there. In West Africa, music is essential within their culture, right? So we're watching videos, we've live streamed with Guinea, West Africa, some students that are there as well. So it's really become an intimate learning opportunity. So we're going to play a quick little rhythm, and then I'll show you a little bit more. So this rhythm is called Mora Bayasa, and it's a woman's rhythm. And if a woman is having a really hard time in her life, she says within the village, I'm going to do the Mora Bayasa. And it has to be a big thing, because she can only do it once in her lifetime as well. So not all women will do this in the village, but if there's just this big problem they can't shake, right? They put on these crazy clothes over their own clothes, and they learn the Mora Bayasa dance and the rhythm. Then they go outside of the village, and they'll dance around a Mora Bayasa tree, and then they bury all of their clothes, kind of like burying this big sadness, that they held on to. And then they'll come back, right? They'll do Mora Bayasa one more time. There's a big celebration within the village. So the music is far more than just music. It's far more than that. So we'll have you start, and then you can come in, and then okay, and you can hang with me. I got to tell you, first thing in the morning to sit down and play that, it wakes you up. That's for sure. But they did a great job. And so, it's wonderful because we go in there and we're just learning. It's not meant to be a performance necessarily, but you feel it. It's really nice. So as I was preparing for this, I realized, wow, the district has done so much over the past 4 or 5 years. But to let you know a little bit more about that, and I'll go over this relatively quickly, like, what is it about Guinea, West Africa? Just to find information. So as far as literacy rates, there's only 9 countries that have a lower literacy rate than Guinea, West Africa. 43% of the population under 15 years of age. Average number of children is 5 for a family. There's some other stats there too, but one of the really interesting things is that the average years of schooling is 6. So the government itself doesn't necessarily support education in Guinea, West Africa. There are no public libraries in the country, which is why the literacy rate is so low. Why would you have libraries if your literacy rate is that low? And so here are just some images of the village that we've worked with, Kuya City in Guinea. And one of the issues is most of the people in the village speak Malinke, but French is the official language of the school. So how does a student who goes home and hears Malinke and doesn't hear French ever going to be able to go to school and really grasp what's happening? It's really, it's unattainable for them, given the situation that they're in. And the other thing is you'll have a classroom, 125 students with 1 teacher, and no books, right? It's benches, perhaps chalkboards, that might be part of it. And so again, literacy in those conditions is challenging to say the least, and that's where MSAD 51 and the students here over the past 5 years have actually made a difference. And it's not just saying it and not just donating things, but it's very specific ways that they've made a difference. I had to throw you up there, Jeff. What can I say? So MSAD 51 has supported this on many different levels. One, at the school district level, Foundation 51 twice has paid for a grant to have a Ghanaian drummer come and spend the entire week with students. And again, that's just the district supporting that. When he came, there were performances over the GCA, and they were filled, absolutely filled. And again, it was the students participating in education, not just learning about it, because they were part of the performances as well. And probably the most significant thing is back in 2024, the district agreed to donate some iPads that they were no longer using. They were going to be sending them back. And this made a huge impact in how we could possibly help the students and the children there. And I'll get to that in just a second. So on the high school level, a number of different projects that took place. One of them is in 2022. This is with Mrs. McDonald and the seniors there in the AP French class. They translated books into French, right? So they had to write the publishers, they had to write to the illustrators and get permission to do this. So they translated them into French, and those books are now in a library in Kuya City in Guinea, West Africa. And then the next year, this is where those iPads came in, and my ears might be off, but oh well. So the next year, a different group of French students, again, trying to make their learning purposeful, they recorded books in French. Because what we realized is that just having books there isn't going to be enough because students can't hear French. But now, with the iPads and the students recording books, the children there can now see the words and hear the words. So that's a huge missing link, right? And that provides access to further ability to read as well. Oh. This is an example of one student.
Par Shel Silverstein. Il était une fois un arbre qui aimait un petit garçon. Et le garçon venait le voir tous les jours. Il cueillait ses feuilles.
Okay, so it's really wonderful to think that, you put yourself in the position of those students that, okay, yeah, I'm learning French, and this is really kind of nice, and we get to go to France maybe, and that's really cool, but you know, it's purposeful learning that's changing the lives of others, and they know that, you know, and the passion that just naturally comes from that. It's just been a great opportunity for them. And for the children, obviously, in Guinea as well. A couple other projects. Last year, students made posters in French that would then be hung up inside the libraries. And this year, right now, we're doing, we've been able to connect with some classrooms in the Capitol, and high school seniors came down and met with my students, and they drafted letters about what life is like for them and asking questions. And they've sent those letters off, and we received letters back as well. So again, it's that connection. At the middle school level, for the past couple of years, the 7th graders have come, and for a day I was able to teach them about West Africa through drumming and music and story, and we'd all get together. So again, it's engaging in their learning, and there's no replacement for that. At the elementary level at MIW, again, we had Cyan Kamara come for an entire week, and the smiles that I saw throughout that time, it was really inspiring to see that as well. And again, he did a performance at the end of that with students as well. Let's see. In addition to that, for the past 4 years, I do drum classes after school on Fridays and on Saturdays, and all of those funds that the community has supported, not just the school, but the parents as well, all those funds go right into Guinea Reads, where we are building libraries in Guinea, West Africa. And again, I would stress that it's significant because there are not public libraries there. So I even had to explain to the village elders what a library is, because there's no concept of it. So it's really, the kind of impact that it's making there, it's really hard to fully capture. Also, the students did a readathon last year to raise funds again. This was around the time that Cyan was here, to support the building of the libraries as well. And I live streamed, so I was able to go last year, and I was able to live stream with students back here with the students in Guinea, West Africa, and it was magical for the students to actually see what life is like and speak with some of the students, or we couldn't completely communicate, but to be able to see them in their village was very touching. So this is the first library that is over in Guinea. I was really touched. They ended up naming it after my son, you know, and that was really sweet. And there's other stories behind that I won't go into. But that's there, and this is the inside of the library and the outside of it. And here are some of the students using those iPads that were donated in the library in Kuyasidia. And so what it has is it has multiple earpieces that come from it. So the students can, again, look at the words, listen to the words. On each of those iPads, there's over 150 children's books that the students can listen to. Just a couple more. I appreciate your time, by the way. I know it's a lot. So this is actually in the classroom that's in Kuyasidia, and you got a picture. Normally, there would be 100 or so students in there, but those are some students using those iPads, again, that were donated, and we appreciate that. Just a couple more. Another library that's going to open up in January is in the village called Oroko. Here I am with a teacher up in the corner here. And this is what it is on the outside. This just recently got completed. They just have solar panels. So all the libraries have solar panels on them, allowing them to go ahead and charge the iPads. And the iPads themselves don't need any internet access. It has, again, all those things that the students have put on it. They're right there in the village. And here's an image of the teacher there with his students outside their school. So this is just in the library, and the reading materials that they were able to use were purchased by Guinea Reads, again, through the cooperation of the entire community. And it's great because when I went over there, I happened to have a Greeley shirt from my son and gifted that. And it's great to kind of look out there and go, oh, there's a Greeley shirt on this child that's halfway across the world in sub-Saharan West Africa. You know, that the students here, I can't stress to them enough how much they're making a difference. And I look up at the sign, it's engage, empower, and inspire. And what these students have been able to do, my goodness, you know, they're engaged. They feel empowered because they are making a difference. It's not like I have to tell them to have pride. They feel their pride, and they're inspiring themselves and others. So I just really want to share with you, and again, thank you, Jeff, the things that our students have been able to do over these past 5 years.
Thank you for bringing this incredible program and this connection for learning for our kids. And the drumming tonight was incredible. So thank you. I don't know if others have questions. I'm just curious of what first got you connected with Guinea.
I met Sion Kamra when probably like 14 or 15 years ago. He was the village drummer that was there. He's currently living in Bath, but he is going to have to move back to Guinea very soon. So he invited me to go visit him, and I went to study the drumming, but as soon as I got there, I spent all the time with the children. You know, I'm a third grade teacher, so it was great. And so that's kind of what started it. And before I went over, my son was probably 6 years old at the time, and you know, I was going over, and the only time I can go is at Christmas because of the rainy season and the way things are. And he, my son was in the back seat. He's like, let's do a lemonade stand, right? And that's kind of how it started from there. And it's just naturally progressed to the point that it's at now. Yeah.
Questions? Go ahead.
So reiterate my thanks to all of you for the demonstration and the presentation. I've been aware of some aspects of this program, I think kind of since its beginning, but less so of the student involvement in terms of the projects that have happened with the translation and the iPads and the posters. And I'm curious if you know yet what this year might bring or what some future ideas in terms of what students may be working on might look like.
Yeah, so for this year, at this point, it's really working with those high school seniors to write letters to talk about what their life is like. Moving forward, what do I envision in the future? I would love it if we could have students write more about their lives and inspire the students in the village to start to write about their lives, right? So if they can first gain literacy and then start to share about what their lives hold, right? And the ability to share that through writing, because their language isn't a written language, it's just a verbal language. So I've always believed empowering children here to empower children there. That's always been the belief of Guinea Reads. So I guess moving forward, that's kind of how I see it. But if anybody has ideas, I'm open to it.
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is, yeah, this is really incredible. So I served for 2 years in the Peace Corps in Southern Africa, and so I can say from firsthand experience, like kids in these situations are like sponges, right? Like they're in a resource poor environment. So, like the kids I worked with, any piece of chalk you gave them, any crayon you gave them, any book you gave them would go, 1,000 times further than it goes here. So just getting any of those resources into their hands, like, they're going as far as they can go. And so, I think the student involvement's incredible. And I would encourage you to just see if you can find ways, to stay connected with some of the kids that they're writing to, because, you're in year 5, and so I'm like 20 plus years out from being in Namibia. And some of the kids I worked with who were in situations like this, dead parents, raised by their grandparents, raised by other kids, went on to do great things and have jobs in the capital and become musicians in other countries. And yeah, I think you're like at the very beginning of the story of what you've created, and I think being able to track it and like know that you lit that spark for those kids is, yeah, it's important, right, to be able to take some ownership and credit for what you're doing now. That's, you know, going to have that effect. So I would encourage you just to, yeah, keep having those letters written and keeping tabs, because eventually some of these kids will have the internet and they'll be able to look Kid Greeley up on Facebook and they'll get in touch 10, 15, 20 years later. And so, yeah, I would encourage you to keep making those connections.
Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I can't help but think about not only my own connections, but the students that are here and having them somehow sustain and maintain those relationships,
yeah,
right? And makes it a smaller world, for sure.
I just, I've been around long enough to remember when you first started doing some of these things. And I just wanted to just share my appreciation for your spark and how you've shared it then through the community. I'm lucky enough to have share a child with you in your class, so I do hear some of the great works that you're doing and how he feels about it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I would just add, we have so many talented educators in this district, just so many, and most of them don't ever want to talk about what they do. John, I had probably had to ask you 3 or 4 times, and I know it's because you're a very humble man, and I appreciate you coming and finally talking about all this, because we've been watching this. Many of us have known what you're doing and the impact that you've made on the district over these years. So thanks so much for this. I'm glad everybody has a chance to hear this. And there's so many things in our district that go on that nobody knows about, and this is honestly one of them. That I'm glad that finally the board can hear that. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate your time this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank
maybe
you
you
to our
want to
students.
stay here. I don't know what's going on out there, but
Wendy,
right?
Thank you for saving
But
us.
thank
Kevin.
you.
You sprayed. That was good.
All right, we're going to move to our items for action. Our first item is motion to approve policy JL, school wellness, as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Jesse. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sarah. So, Jesse, do you want to just provide us an update on this policy?
Yeah,
from
I'll
our
remind
last-
folks, so these were policy changes requested by Carol MacArthur, who runs the Wellness Committee. And I'll remind folks that the Wellness Committee is in a transitional space because we're about to have a new strategic plan, and the Wellness Committee sort of follows that. The Wellness Committee achieved all of their goals from the last strategic plan, and so some of the changes here are basically to remove some of those former strategic priorities and leave a placeholder for new ones. So yeah, there's a number of smallish changes throughout in blue, and some of the things that we took out in red. We tried to strike a balance between being committed to wellness and hydration and meeting standards while also allowing for brownies to be able to be sold. So we agonized over that language that, there's wiggle room in the language. Anyways, but yeah, welcome any further discussion if there are areas where you think we could improve.
Just a quick question. I know you mentioned that it's a transition year. Do you foresee that once there is a new strategic plan in place that you would need to then update the policy?
Yes.
Okay.
And I guess I would defer to Carol. I know, most of these changes came from her, and as the head of the Wellness Committee, I think it's important that we, trust her judgment and where that's going. So yeah, as soon as we have this new strategic plan, I would guess that the Wellness Committee will come up with those sort of new priorities based on the strategic plan, and would need to update this.
Great. Any other questions, comments? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I was just, so I had asked Jesse just earlier today, and so I haven't even had a chance to read it myself, and I don't think it would impact how I vote, but I was reflecting on the conversation that we had around the policy in the last meeting, and was just curious to see what the sample policy looked like in terms of the extent to which it focused on the nutrition program, because that seems to be such a big part of this policy. And so thank you, Jesse, for getting that for me to look at. And again, have not digested it. I tend to agree that trusting the recommendations of Carol MacArthur and the Wellness Committee are a good idea. And, you know, as we potentially need to look at this again in the near future, that could be a resource that we look at as well as we continue to consider. I think, you know, one thing that's just come up for me is it names these other broad areas of wellness, but then is so focused on nutrition. And so if we need a policy that focuses more on those other areas, just that's something that we can keep in mind for going forward.
That's great. Great. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor? Okay, looks like it's unanimous. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve policy JKAA, use of physical restraint and seclusion as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Jesse. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kim. Go ahead, Jesse.
So again, these were required changes that came about from our MDOE audit, and so Carla Fancy had changes to this policy, JKAAR and IHBAC Child Find. So yeah, again, based on the audit, there were required changes, and that is basically what is in here. We wordsmithed a few things slightly and moved some things around slightly, but largely these came out of the findings of that audit, and Carla Fancy suggested edits so that we are in line with those.
Great. Any questions or comments? So this is just for a vote on JKAA, but maybe we'll do a motion to take the next two as a group.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will note that we got some comments from some members of the school district, and we read them fully, and we talked amongst ourselves as some members of the policy committee. So we're not unaware that there was public comment that wasn't spoken publicly, and so just wanted to acknowledge that, that we're
any changes since our last read?
No.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, all in favor? Great, it's unanimous. All right, can I have a motion to approve policy JKAA-R, physical restraint and seclusion procedures as presented, and policy IHBAC, child find, as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Jesse. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, anything else to add here, Jesse?
Nope.
Okay, any questions or comments on these two related policies? Yes, go ahead, Kim.
I was curious what, looking at the second paragraph of item number 1, this procedure does not preclude law enforcement personnel or other first responders. I know in the past we've had some questions about who can come on campus, who can come into the building to assist, or to, you know, if the parent would like another party that maybe has been involved with the child in the past. So I just didn't know if that was discussed as far as folks outside the community coming in to assist.
Are we looking at policy JKAAR?
Yes.
The blue text or other first responders.
Okay.
That's the change. Yeah.
I believe we added the or other first responders. I don't know that we had a lengthy discussion about getting into the details. I think, again, because it's a broad policy and we would defer to the superintendent and administration for who those folks are. And I know, we had a discussion in the past about defining that more narrowly so that we know exactly who's coming. But yeah, I don't think we had an in-depth conversation about making it any more restrictive than it is, other than that, or other first responders, so that it doesn't preclude folks who are outside of law enforcement if the administration calls for them.
Would you say it makes it less restrictive?
Yeah, I think it broadens it, because now it's not just law enforcement. Other first responders, I think, could be read a little bit more broadly.
Is there, so there's no cross-reference with, well, I guess maybe relations with law enforcement authorities, but as far as a cross-reference of other individuals coming into the school, workers coming in independently who are not staff. Sorry. Is there, Jeff, is there any kind of correlating policy on that? Or am I?
Yeah, I don't interpret, I understand what you're asking, Kim. I don't interpret this additional language or other first responders from including non-staff members who are visitors, other than people who are first responders. First responders is obviously, law enforcement, medical, EMT, although, fire personnel. So that's how I interpret this language, that it would be in those capacities, those official capacities, if there was an emergency of some kind and those personnel were available, that they could be involved in that. We also have an MOU with the Cumberland Police Department, and that's really where the link would be, is our MOU with the police department. We have internal documents and conversations with Cumberland Police about this topic specifically. And we've worked very closely with PD around their role, our role, and where those intersect and don't intersect procedurally based on policy. And also their own law enforcement measures that they have to take that might be outside of ours in an emergency, or what they consider to be a dangerous situation where they might have to step in. In fact, the chief and I have talked very recently about this for clarification, and we continue to do that. So I think we're in a good place with that. I don't feel that there's an issue here.
Okay, thank you both.
I appreciate the question, because I think I know it's been raised in the past.
Okay.
And yeah, my question would just be, I know there's a mental health crisis group that's not a first responder and it's not a police, and I'm just not sure how that combines.
I think with the physical restraint and seclusion procedure, this is so state-driven.
It may not hit this
It's
policy.
not going to hit that magnitude at all, no.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions? Comments? Okay. All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay. The last policy for second read is, can I get a motion to approve EBBD temperature standards for schools?
So moved.
No, I combined the last two in the motion. That's okay. Thank you, Jesse. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Annika. All right, this was probably our most discussed policy last time.
Let's talk temperature. This is a new required policy, and so it will. I think the state is required this new policy to be in effect, and so we basically took the sample language, and the changes we made to it were to pick the temperatures. I'll note that we did get some comments from the public about this, which, again, we read through all of them. At least I read through all of them, and recognized that, that folks have strong feelings about temperature standards for our schools and what goes on in our schools. But this is really just, I think, setting the baseline expectation, and so I think those comments can work from the policy we have. And if things are going against policy, they can take that up with the proper folks, and it will eventually land with us potentially. But this is really, I think, just to sort of set what is the expectation. And so our expectation is that optimal learning happens between 68 and 75 degrees. And that if it's above or below that, things should be done. And so that's sort of what the policy says. Yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. And I know we'll also be carrying this conversation through to facilities that actually has more control of how we control for the temperatures within the buildings. Any additional questions about this policy? Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you, it's unanimous. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the superintendent's report.
Yeah, superintendent's report's a little bit shorter this week because we had a break. Family math teachers, Jonna King's name has come up quite a bit tonight, and Stephanie Pizzanda have hosted a wonderful family night afternoon, invited families in to do math, and often math is one of those areas where parents might feel a little bit of nervousness. I know I did as a parent as my kids got older, so it's good to kind of break the ice and invite parents in to work with their students around math early on. Fourth graders had a guest speaker from the Society for Creative Anachronism. At first I was thinking that might be a snake or something, but I was like, anaconda, no. I had to look at the word twice. To extend their learning about the skills, arts, combat, and culture of medieval times. And I believe this is connected to the new CKLA program, which incorporates a ton of social studies and science into the program, which is really amazing. It's one of the, I think, upsides of the CKLA literacy program. I'm not 100% sure about that. We've had a lot of topics that are being explored in that program, but I believe that is the connection here. GMS 6.8, actually that was yesterday, early release. Most of the music students, I would say, over 100 of them who are involved in the music program for 6.8, attended a private showing of Wicked 2 at Smitty's Theater in Topsom. Nice. Many thanks to Barry Saunders and Jen Caton, who are music teachers at GMS, for arranging this and coordinating it. And Principal Monty Selby was one of the chaperones and actually took this photo. So nice event, really got some positive feedback from the students who were involved in that. At Greeley High School, congratulations. Last night was the NHS, National Honor Society induction program, and want to say congrats to all of the students, juniors and seniors who were inducted last night into NHS. Really always an amazing program. Thank you to Melissa Fowler and Ken Fowler, who are the student advisors, or the advisors for the students and NHS, and coordinate this event along with all the activities throughout the year for NHS. I believe there might be at least one student here on the board, maybe, and we have a parent, at least one parent that I know of. So congratulations. Caitlin, congratulations from last night when you walked up. I wanted to almost jump up and say congratulations, but I know that would be embarrassing. Right?
I wouldn't mind.
Greeley High School, Ranger football, that happened between the last meeting and now. Very big congratulations. This is the 6th state title win this calendar year for Greeley High School. It's one of the, I think it's one of our, we always have a lot, but I feel like this might be the most in a few years. Took an easy lead over Leavitt. It was at Lewiston High School. It was a great afternoon. It was very festive. I believe I saw both of our students there as well. And just a very exciting event, always is. And just congratulations to the football team. We only brought this program back student-driven about 4 years ago, and every year it keeps going through another iteration back to 11 player division this year for the first time in years and years, and already took the state title, took it in the 8-player division. And again, I just really credit the kids for bringing this back. They were the ones that I know pushed Mr. Shapiro, Mr. Francis, and myself, or directly, you got to bring this back, you got to bring this back. And look at how many students we have in this program. I believe there's 50-something students that participate in this program. So really amazing. Sound of Music, sold out performances, I believe, all 4 of them, at the Greeley Center for the Arts. Over 2,000 people attending. And just an amazing performance. I heard so many things from people afterwards and during the performance, during the break. Several people said something to me just amazing. It really was. Every year I always say it's got to be one of the best ones, but again, it was really well done. And thank you to all the students who are involved in any way in this production, and to our amazing adults who are involved in directing and choreographing this amazing production. And this is the second time I've had talked about Christopher Gilbert here in 2 weeks. He's actually just graduated from Greeley High School, but we just found out also, in addition to discovering something that hadn't been discovered yet, 2 weeks ago he also was named one of 2 students in the state of Maine to be named the 2025 U.S. Presidential Scholar, which is an unbelievable honor to achieve that status. There are only a handful of students in the country that get that far, so congratulations to Christopher. And also congrats to another student from another high school, Sage Evans. Even though it's Cape Elizabeth, we'll say congratulations, it's okay. And then tonight, obviously, I like to throw those in. Thank you to Mr. Marlowe for organizing all of this, and our students and Mr. Rollins as well. Thank you for participating. Students' notebook, superintendent's notebook, the MIW edition is, the seal is done as of today. There is no more steel work. It is now the focus of that building, and the roof is done. This picture's a little dated.
Because
All
there's
of
no
it is done.
snow.
Right, the
There's
snow,
no snow in the
which I'm
pictures.
glad that at least, yeah. We'll be moving on to wrapping the exterior of the MIW addition. That is the very next step, so that will be weatherproofed, hopefully in the next few weeks. And then the pre-K1 building, the foundation is now in the very last stage of being completed, just rounded the last part. There are 5 areas of the building that the foundation has been worked on over the last couple months, is now in the 5th and final stage. So I've been told now that steel will be starting to go up sooner than later for the pre-K1 building, so you start seeing some activity there in the next, hopefully, 2 or 3 weeks. And then just a reminder, naming our school. So there is a survey out, deadline is December 12th. There are 4 names for people to essentially vote on or give their preference. Broadmoor School, Carolyn F. Small School, or the Small School, Cornerstone Elementary School, and Greeley Primary School are the choices. Looking for everybody in the community to weigh in. If you'd like to, please submit. The information is on our website to please to vote and give the policy committee and the communication committee your feedback. That's the superintendent's report.
Great, thank you. A lot to cover. I felt like the musical was a lifetime ago. I can't believe that was since our last meeting. So we're going to go into student reports, where I hear they have a lot to report tonight. So looking forward to it.
Is this one working? Yes. Yes. Oh, don't touch it. We can share, I guess.
That's okay.
Okay. All right, I'll go first. And so I'll say my piece, Caitlin will say her piece, and then we can kind of come together and talk about a little something else. But right now, I think there's so much happening, especially in the arts. I think that's going, they're in full swing. We've got, chorus and band. They both just had ceremonies. And then the Sound of Music, which I didn't get to go to. I was away. But Caitlin, you went, right? How good was it? So good. She says so good. And I haven't heard a single, and I think actual competitions are starting. I know track has a meet this week, so that's exciting. A little update on Ranger Support Time, which is back in action at the high school. Just a little midway review. I personally, and Caitlin I think agrees with me, that so far, Ranger Support Time has been a huge hit. I think everyone's using it really productively, which is super cool to see a policy like that with the schedule change go into action and then see positive change. And I think a lot of kids would agree with us that it's just a really great time to either be selected by a teacher that you might need some help with, or select a teacher that you want to check in with or just get extra help with. And it's just it's a 20-minute block twice a week. Go in, meet with that teacher, talk about whatever you need to talk about, and it's a really great time to have like less than 12 other kids in a class with you. And sometimes, I mean, our class sizes are pretty small, but classes can be pretty blocked together with time. You have a lot to do in a short amount of time, and so it's a good time to just sit back and figure out what you need to figure out. So that's really great. Football won. Caitlin and I were both there, and Mr. Porter was there too. And that was a great experience. It was a great show of community too. You can't even really see the kids behind them, but there was a huge crowd of kids gathering back there ready for them to kind of like charge the area with their trophy and everything. So that was great. Yeah, and I'll hand it over to Caitlin.
My turn. Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to touch it. I'm just going to speak from here. Okay. So I first wanted to reiterate what Mr. Porter mentioned. I had my NHS ceremony last night, our initiation, along with a couple of my other peers. That was super exciting. I'm fourth to the left in that picture. You can't really see me, but I'm there. That was super exciting. It's an honor and a responsibility to be part of such an amazing program. I'm super excited. Love to be involved in my community, so this is a really great opportunity, and I'm super excited for what that brings. So that's that. And then we also recently, let me get to it. We recently had a Rangers Lead the Way athletic seminar. So we had Lawrence Alexander come in. He's come in before to speak to our students and our parents every once in a while. But we had apparently all student athletes from all sports seasons needed to attend our interactive session on Wednesday, November 12th. We didn't get the show up that we wanted to from that. But what we took from that, Katie and I had a really productive meeting with Mr. Francis today, actually, to talk about how we are going to get kids to engage in a program like this, get kids excited about going. We weren't really sure if it was just because there wasn't enough like hype around it, if kids didn't know about it. Kids are really busy. So the point of that was the following topics of leading the way with integrity, dignity, and grace as we represent the Rangers, focusing on games, practices in the building and on social media, representing Greeley, representing being a Ranger, and what hurdles we must overcome in leading the way. I personally went to it. I thought it was really interesting, and I think that people would have enjoyed it. So we are kind of brainstorming ideas of maybe putting together a video. Lawrence Alexander is meeting with Mr. Francis to talk about putting together a video that all sports teams have to watch like going into the season, which I think would be really beneficial. I think everyone could use like improvement on like Rangers Lead the Way, how to be a good Ranger, how to treat your coaches, how to treat your peers on your teams. I think it's really important. I think it could be great for everyone. So we're just talking about how to get kids engaged in that kind of stuff. So that's that.
Yeah. Okay, and then our last thing, Caitlin spent a little more time on this than I did because I had to go to practice. But like she said, we met with Mr. Francis today, and he expressed that he was looking for student perspective on the cell phone policy and how we personally thought that was going, because while Caitlin and I may love it, some people may hate it. We are not the whole school, and we want to hear from them. And part of that was Mr. Francis initiating a conversation with the student government representatives. And so he met with their president today as well. And then Caitlin was able to attend that meeting. And we're both members of student government, so that was cool as well, and can kind of work as liaisons in times like this. And so I think she has some notes on what the kids are thinking, what Mr. Francis is thinking, and how we can get kids to respond in a really holistic way to how they think it's going, and whether or not they think a change should happen or if they think it's going well, and what that change might look like, which is the kicker in this case.
Yeah. So I'm not going to cover it all. Oh,
Just use mine. Just use mine.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Right. So I'm not going to cover it all because I took a ton of notes, and kids were very interested in this topic, obviously. It's their phone, their baby. But so this conversation was really interesting, and a lot of the key takeaways, there was a lot of questions, which I love. And I think that I'm glad that kids are like engaged in this and want to learn more about this topic. That was really exciting. So the main questions that we talked about with Mr. Francis is, should there be a change in this phone policy? Do we like it? Like, what are we?
Yeah, and for reference, the phone policy right now is that when you walk into a classroom, there's in each classroom, there's like a phone holder, and it's like fabric, and it hangs on the side of the wall, and it has little pockets that you'd slide your phone into. And when you walk in, you're supposed to put your phone in that pocket and go sit down and continue class, and it shouldn't be a distraction. But the issue is that there's little inconsistency around which teachers kind of care for the policy and want each student to have their phone in that folder or in that pocket like the whole class period, or if they're okay if the student keeps it in their pocket, which can create some distraction, or if a student just decides today they're not going to put it in the pocket and instead they just keep it with them the whole day instead. So that's kind of the thing that we're investigating here.
And also, along with student perspective, we're also looking for staff perspective, because that's also really important in this discussion. So the idea is, if the majority thinks that the phone policy that we have right now isn't working, is that we'd potentially talk about doing a bell-to-bell phone schedule, which is when you come into school, your phone is in your backpack for the entire day. You don't get it during passing periods and lunch, which is when we can be on it now. Mm-hmm. So from when you walk into school to when you leave school, you're not on your phones. There's been a lot of mixed opinions on this, whether people think it's a good idea, it's a bad idea, a mix of both. So at student government, the big question was, do we see a change in learning with the phone policy in place? We saw that kids are pretty respectful about the phone policy. Here and there, I mean, it's a little bit of an issue, but I'm not seeing huge backlash on this. And then a lot of people were wondering, why do we want the phone policy to expand to a bell-to-bell schedule in the hallways and lunch? Will this affect school culture or social interactions? A lot of kids use their phones to review for tests and homework, so kids are worried about that. Others think that the bell-to-bell schedule would prolong time without your phone and would incline students to spend more time on their phones after school for extended periods, because they're not on their phones all day. So after school's like, oh my gosh, I get to be on my phone. I'm going to be on it for hours now. So that was something that was brought up that I thought was really interesting. And then some people think that it increases quality of education during class, which is, I think, the whole reason, the basis behind it, the reason that we did it. Would the bell-to-bell schedule increase quality of education in the hallways and passing periods? Is that different than in classrooms? Can we have it in passing periods? That was a discussion. Criteria to gain students' perspective. Is there values in our current system? A lot of people said there's values, but there's not as much effectiveness. So they see the core of it, but the effectiveness not as much. And then I think some people had issues with not every classroom and teacher consistently following the same guidelines. So teachers having different phone rules, that was a huge thing. Students aren't respecting the rule and understanding the rule as much because teachers have different rules and different guidelines. So a big discussion was having every teacher have the same rule, enforce the same rules. That was really important. And then concerns about our current plan is that kids find loopholes. You can text and use Snapchat on your computer. So if we don't have our phones, you can text on your computer. And no matter what rule we have, kids are gonna find a way to, pass the firewall. So that was a thing. And then a question of if the bigger issue is self-regulation and that type of conversation.
Yeah, that was a big topic of our conversation with Mr. Francis, is that he is almost, to give you guys a little perspective on how he thinks about this whole situation, is that he really likes the policy that we have in place, and I think that he also wishes that there would be a better cohesiveness between teachers and all of their policies, so that it's all kind of one policy and it's not confusing the kids so much. But he also doesn't want to jump right into a bell-to-bell change. That's not what he's looking for at all, because we agreed in our conversation that at some point each of us are going to go out into the world. We're going to go and do something. We're going to either go to college or express something else, and at that time we're going to have to self-regulate our own time management skills. And if we don't start when we're a little younger, there's that balance too. And I think that was a big focus as well. And I agree. I think kids really express that also, that they think that it's going well, actually. But
okay, and then just a little more. Okay. And then another question was areas for improvement in our current plan. Like I said, consistent enforcement was really important to kids. Very, very, very important. Making the policy known, making the policy understood to students, I think is so important. Putting the phone holder in the back of the room rather than the front of the room. A lot of kids, when they're signing out to the bathroom, will just grab their phone on the way out. So that's an issue too. And then phones in the hallway, is that creating bullying and drama? Is this why we want to go to the bell to bell? And then are phones in the hallway distracting from learning and social interactions and things? And then our current plan versus our proposed new plan. The bell to bell schedule is everyone would have to do it. It would be very set in stone. I heard from a teacher that it's hard as a teacher because the phone rule now distracts them from teaching because they have to be the quote unquote bad guy. And they have to talk to kids, put your phone away. I don't need you on your phone right now. So it distracts from their teaching and their engaging as a teacher. And then he also said that it's more than just education and growing up in an environment with all this pressure and from your phone. So that could be beneficial from the bell-to-bell schedule. Some kids were worried about the reaction from students if bell-to-bell is enforced, the phone addiction and what's that going to do to kids. Initial resistance probably will normalize, we also talked about. Some kids want to bring back lockers. They think that would help. So there's been a lot of conversation. And then just some final questions from student government. I'd like to get your guys' perspective too, because I'm going to bring this back to student government. This is really exciting for me. But they were wondering if this is based on addiction or cyberbullying. What is the root cause of why we want to change the schedule? Why are people so impacted by this? Why are students and teachers both impacted by this? Our community. What are we preventing with the bell-to-bell policy? And have students understood why behind this policy idea? And should we enforce students to understand the why of these policies? So that is my spiel, and I'd now like you guys to tell me what you think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a great update. I love that the students are having these conversations. One question that I have, how much did the phone at lunch come up? Because that's one thing that I often think about is how lunchtime could seem like a period that instead of engaging with your peers, people are then on their phones, and how does that?
Definitely on their phones during lunch. Now that I think about it, it's definitely a time for that.
And it
I don't
came
know
up
how
as
you'd regulate it besides completely putting it away.
and that was the idea, is in these times when the phones aren't necessarily about engaging in your learning, what is it doing to your social interactions? When kids are sitting at tables with their friends, but they're all staring at their phones, not having any sort of face-to-face conversation, what is that doing to kids' social skills when they go out into anywhere besides school? And so that was definitely a huge topic, and that's, I think, a lot of the large reason why people think that the bell-to-bell schedule would be beneficial for engaging in learning and just social interactions in general. So yeah, that was a really big topic.
Great, thank you. Megan?
So next steps are to get input from staff, from teachers?
Staffs and teachers.
Yeah. Okay.
Staffs and students, yes.
Yes. Staff and students, the
We're
greater
working on
students.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're thinking of a Google form that we're going to send out to our teachers and our students. That's mandatory to fill out during advisory. So that's in the progress.
Awesome.
Yes.
And then do you want some parental input as well?
Definitely.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I'll send you
Absolutely.
some things.
Okay. Yes. Love it. Thank you.
How can we help?
That's a hard question.
It's great that it's helpful to cast a wide net. Parents are definitely keyed into this topic, and I think there's more parental support for bell to bell, and I have some concrete examples of why, which I'll just send to you. But if you want parental input, we can help facilitate that.
Yeah, I think that hearing from some parents would also be important for these students, because I think that during conversations like in student government, that's a wide range of students. There's probably 30 kids in that classroom. And so when you bring something like this up, they almost immediately, I can almost envision it. They're almost you want to take my phone? Why do you want to take my phone? Like Caitlin said, that's their child. And so you can't really, it's hard to bring up. And so I feel like if we had a parent perspective, it might almost make it more, I don't know, they might reason with it better, having it come from someone that they might know or someone that they'd obviously like inherently respect. So I think that could be very helpful, especially if we could just get some parent information or perspective and then relay that back to student government. That might ease some like potential like tension that could come up with this topic.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's many underclassmen who are in student government. I don't know what the typical arrangement is, but I just often think about how in middle school that you're used to the bell to bell.
Yeah,
right.
We talked about that too.
Yeah.
That was a conversation of the shift of, because kids in student government, some of them are seniors, juniors, sophomores, and so some of them have had this phone policy for 2 years. Me personally, I've had it for two. Yeah, I've had it for 2 years. Some kids had 2 years of no policy and then 2 years of policy. I had my freshman year no policy, and now I've had sophomore and started my junior year with the policy. And so just like that difference of the adjustment into it, and whether the incoming freshman next year, like if we do this bell to bell, would it be less of like a harsh reality, because they are going from a bell to bell in middle school, and maybe it was a harder switch for us because we went from bell to bell to no regulation at all, then to like mixed policy. So that was definitely a conversation of like, how do we adjust students into that from the middle school level to the high school level? So yeah.
Other questions? Awesome. Yeah, well, I think, there's definitely, we've heard from parents and community members at the board level, and I know Megan can help facilitate some of the things that we've already, heard from the community, but I really appreciate the students really taking this on.
I'm working on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys.
Okay. Next up, Kim, finance.
Yeah, so mostly we are going to focus tonight on the updated plan of financing for the One Campus project, and I'm going to go ahead and let Scott do that. You should all have that in your notes. Quickly, before we get to that, I just wanted to address something that was brought up in public comment that about an evening meeting in December. That was something that I had a conversation with someone about in October. It did not come to pass, but I neglected to follow up with that individual. And so we did that today. We've been in communication today about that. And hopefully that has been resolved. So just so you all know that this individual and I were communicating about that. So Scott, you ready?
Sure. Fun with numbers. That's a little hard to see up on the screen. I have a couple of copies here if the audience would like them. I don't know if you'd like these copies. It was easier to follow that at the Finance Committee meeting as well. Thank you. So we had a meeting of the Finance Committee in which we had invited Joe Katara, who is the Senior Vice President at Moores and Cabot, and he is also our financial advisor that takes our our bond to market. We also had invited Bill Stockmeyer, who from Drummond Woodsum, who is an attorney. He's a municipal law, school education, and public finance attorney, and also acts as our bond counsel from Drummond Woodsum. So we had two individuals there very knowledgeable about the bond market and the sale of bonds. So what we've done is we had put together a plan of financing and presented it at the Finance Committee, and we had initially put a financing plan together that had us going out to bond in December as opposed to another bond anticipation note. And we revised that with a more conservative interest rate of 4%, and then also looked at the advantages of being able to do another bond anticipation note. And those advantages are that the bond anticipation note allows us more time to size the bond to the project. So at this point, we're still working on a project that has alternates and other items, and it's about 53.4 million in what we're looking to borrow. But we don't know at this point exactly what that final number is going to look like. It could look like 51 million. It could look like 52 million. We don't know until we get to the closer to the end of the project. So by not bonding it in December, it offers us the opportunity to wait and then size the bond to the actual project and decide where we want to be with that. So that's one of the advantages. We also talked about a more conservative interest rate, and then also going to access to the bond market in December is not the best time to access the bond market. And the reason for that is that pretty much everybody's made all their investments into bonds as you get towards the end of a calendar year. And so if we plan on going out and wait a year and go out, we'd be going out in November, which is actually a more advantageous time, and it'll allow us to actually bid the bonds looking for a good rate, a better rate, as opposed to trying to do a negotiated sale. So that was some of the things that we spoke about at the Finance Committee and the advantages. And then also by waiting the additional year, hopefully interest rates, may go down if we wait a little bit of time. So those are the reasons for doing the bond anticipation note instead of the bonding. So the document that you see up on the screen now, or you can't see up on the screen, that you have in front of you, shows what the plan of financing looks like. So in the first column of that document called plan of financing is the left column shows the months, far left shows the fiscal years in which we're doing borrowing. So, and then you'll see an amount, and then you'll see cumulative. Those numbers are actually the cash drawdown schedule on the project, and that's our estimated schedule of what we draw down on the project funds in a given month. So, and it basically becomes cumulative over the period of time. So our initial bond anticipation note was done in January, and that was for 16 million. And so we're fast now approaching in December the maturity of that bond anticipation note. So we've started doing quite a bit of drawdown on the project. So we now need to look at refunding that ban and then borrowing 37,492 more. So it becomes the 16 million plus the 37,492 to basically bring us to the total amount of the bond at the ban financing of 53,490, 53,490. And what that does is also allows us to take the advantage of the interest earnings or the arbitrage earnings on the project, which we can earn money on the project funds over time, which can be used on the project, can be used to offset debt service, it can be used for a number of different items. So, and then what you find is we get out to basically November of fiscal year 26-27, and that's when you would do your permanent financing, because that's the year that the school will actually come on board. And so at that time you can size the bond to what your actual project estimate is to be at that time. So.
And sorry, Scott, what's that exact date that we'll need to know how much we're financing?
It would be, basically the bond would sell November 17th.
Okay.
So you'd want to be backed up another month before that and have your estimates in place.
Next November,
I would look at around the 1st of November next year, having a good estimate on where the project's going to be.
Okay.
Okay. And so that's when you would actually go out to bond, and that would be a good time to go out to bond in November, because that's actually a great time when people are looking to use up year-end funds, but not get into December where they've already used them up already. So that's the reason for that. The blue box, all that's doing is showing statutory compliance, and that's just showing that, we can only do 3 years of bond anticipation notes, and we're only doing 1.92 years based on the days. So you're seeing like that column 334, 365, that's the number of days. And then we have to be in compliance that we can't, the total of the bans and the bonds can't exceed 30 years. And so that's just showing the compliance for bond counsel, so they can see where we're at regarding that. So that's pretty much the cash flow and the bans and when you would bond.
Can you remind me when we estimated when we were going out to vote? what percentage? I thought I recalled that we were getting a better percentage rate than we had originally estimated.
We were looking at 4%, and we actually came in under the 4%.
Okay, great, thank you.
So this schedule here, and what we were trying to show with this schedule is that there's the fiscal year column, then there's what is our current debt service. So you'll see the column that's labeled current is showing what's the existing debt service that goes out to the year 2040. And then the next column is the new debt on the new One Campus project. And that's showing the whole total of the debt service over the period of time going out to 2055. And the structure of school financing or school bonds has to be level principal and interest. So you can't like pay more principal up front and pay less. It all has to be structured in a format. So it's around 1.9 million in principal plus interest in each fiscal year that you get down further. And then the next column is the total debt service. So that's just the addition of the current debt, what the new debt will look like, and then what the total debt service will look like in each fiscal year. So that would be the pink column. Then we take an area that if you look at the area that's boxed out in fiscal year 28, 29, and 30, what you can see is those are peak years of the debt service. And if you look just beyond that in 2031, our debt service actually declines about $721,000 in that year. So the whole purpose of this allocation is to take that fund balance allocation in the gray. So fund balance is where the board has actually accumulated unallocated fund balances and set that in the unallocated fund balance in order to be able to utilize that to soften the debt service over the highest 3 years until debt service drops. And that actually was the plan of financing that we've been working on for a number of years. So you know, kudos to the board for maintaining that unallocated fund balance and being able to offset that debt service in the peak years. So then we go out to the far right column, and what you'll actually see in the yellow is that in fiscal year 27, which will be next fiscal year, when we're creating our budget now for next fiscal year, you'll be taking on $589,000 of additional debt service, okay? That's just a little over 1% of your budget. So, so not bad for the project that we've got going on right now. And 28, in fiscal year 28, you'll see we're applying $400,000 of unallocated fund balance in that year in the gray column. And if you go out to the far right to the yellow, you'll see our debt service will increase another $798,000. So you can see what we're trying to do is just soften the debt service each year as we have debt service retiring or increasing. 29, we're applying the largest amount of unallocated fund balance of $1.5 million to again stay roughly in that $790,000 range of increased debt service. The final increase in debt service is in the year 2030, which again is about another $770,000. All that's roughly under 1.5% of your budget in each one of those fiscal years until we get to that 2031, and now you see debt service starting to decline by by over 200,000, and then approximately 100,000 more than that, and then finally you get down to the year 2041, and your debt service decreases by another 552,000. So it's almost as though you all planned this. Okay, and softened it over the years, and it shows better graphically. So if you go and you look at, think of it like a stair tread system. Okay, so you start out in the year 2027, and you take on about 589,000. You get to 2028, you take on a little bit more. You know, the 798, you get to 29, you take on a little bit. So in 2030, you take on 770, and that's the peak of your debt service until you start to decline. And then in 2031, you start to walk down the stairs the other direction. So it's a gradual increase, and then it starts to go down from there. So it softens the debt service. If you had to take on this immense amount of debt service in one fiscal year, if you were to take on, 770 plus 795 plus 798 and 589, well, 2027, that would be a very, very difficult year for the taxpayers. So this softens it for the taxpayers. It uses money that we've already gotten from our tax assessments to the communities and set aside over a period of years. So rather than using that money on other things, we saved it, and we're using it to basically buy down the debt service.
Thank you, Scott. And yeah, we so appreciate the fact that we're able to bring this on in a way that helps over the next few years before the current debt service. I know there's a pretty big drop starting in 2031. Can you just remind me the 2.5 million, how are the ways that that's being allocated over time? That amount, is that just the amount that we decided when we initially put this forward that we wanted to keep, and then how was the allocations decided?
Quite frankly, we probably would have had more to apply if we hadn't had to do modulars and other things around the campus. You would have had far more money. At one point, we were looking at applying anywhere between 3.5 million possibly, but we had to do a lot of site work around the campus. We had to do a lot of capital projects, so we didn't have as much fund balance to apply. This won't completely deplete the unallocated fund balance because you don't want to do that. That would be fiscally irresponsible. And but what this does is it takes the existing fund balance. Right now you have about 3.3 million. Probably add another million to that, and so you'll start out with about 4.3 million. Apply the 2.5, and you'll still be okay with your bond rating agencies because you're showing unallocated fund balance. And just as of today, I had a conversation with Standard & Poor's with Joe Katara to get our rating for the upcoming ban. And so we'll know that on the 10th, I believe, December 10th, we'll know what that looks like. But right now, our current rating is AA+ with Standard & Poor's, or an S&P 1+, which is basically high-grade bonds and a high-grade rating. And then with Moody's Investor Service, we're a AA3, which also is in that high grade. So the higher your grade on the bond, you have a lower medium grade, upper medium grade, high grade, and then of course there's a prime, which is very difficult to hit. But with a high grade bond, it really helps you out on your interest rate. So when you're going for a municipal or school bond, it's not like going on the open barn market as a private sector company. So that's how people get confused on interest rates sometimes. We definitely anticipate an interest rate that's lower than 4%, but we want to be conservative.
One of the things that came sort of to our attention a year or so ago when we were going through this process was that, I know I'm going to get this wrong, so the percentage of debt that we had as a percentage of like overall budget was low, and that what that could signal is that we weren't investing enough in the maintenance of our buildings, which could be seen as a concern. Does this bring us to our percentage will go up?
You would be within where you need to be at that point. Yeah, you've actually dropped a lot of debt, and you'll drop some other, but you'll be in that line where you're investing into your infrastructure.
Right.
And where you should be. And also, one of the other things that's looked at pretty heavily is fund balance. The state of Maine now allows for a 9% unallocated fund balance. It used to be 3%. And I would basically, my parting thoughts for the board would be, try to build your unallocated fund balance over time, because it shows your fiscal responsibility and able to meet your short-term and long-term debts.
Yeah, because infrastructure, continues to be a huge problem with schools in Maine.
Absolutely.
They just came out with the new list of schools, and what they say the top two.
It's terrible. Yeah.
And these are schools, I think, that one of them burned, right?
Yeah, some of them still have, well, I think they like
both
barns
of them
with knob and
fires.
tube wiring, so trying to get state subsidy is pretty difficult.
And 90-something schools on that list. So I know this was hard. So appreciative of our taxpayers moving this forward for us, because if we would have waited for that list, I don't anticipate we would have been.
No, I think we all pretty much knew that when we were applying, that we needed to do this locally. We went other ways in revolving renovation funds and things of that nature to help out with some of our financings, but
right.
this year. So anyway, great work on the part of the board to get there, and we're in good shape.
That's great.
Okay.
Questions? Go ahead.
Just want to check in about the tax calculator on our One Campus Project website. Is that going to adjust at all based on this new plan? I can't remember if we talked about that at our last meeting.
We didn't talk about that. We'd have to look at that. Obviously, we're going to put all of this information up on the website as an update. I think one of the difficulties that we're going to have right now is trying to figure out what that tax is going to look like because of the two revaluations.
Yeah.
As you know, in a revaluation, a third go up, a third go down, a third stay the same, right? So it's not that everybody's value, everybody pays more taxes. So, so we're going to have to figure that out with the towns.
I wonder if maybe we should take that down for now and have a message that,
Probably.
It's in flux.
And look at how we're doing that. Yeah, we've got some, we tried to take down the old plan, we took down the old plan of financing because it wasn't accurate anymore. So yeah, that's something we should look at, updating on the site.
And then will this be communicated, this new updated plan of financing be communicated with the two towns' leaderships? Or is that something that the committee should do, to email this out so that they have it, or have you already done that?
I think it's a great conversation for the chair and the others to have at their next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Anything else, Kim? I mean, that was a lot. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jesse, policy. Thank you.
So my policy updates are the same as last time because we covered the same topics and still didn't send anything forward. So we're really diving into policy BHC, board relations and communications with staff, and policy KE, public concerns and complaints. I think we're nearly there, but we're still looking to get some feedback, I think, from teachers and also just wordsmithing a little bit. And then the final policy that we're diving deep into and working on is non-school sponsored trips, where we are looking to delete a redundant non-school trips policy and weave that into the school-sponsored student trips policy that has an addendum about non-school sponsored trips. But then we started looking at athletic trips and comparing the two policies, so it's taking longer than we thought, but we'll get it to you eventually.
That sounds like fun. You've had some fun meetings. Tim, facilities.
All right. We have not met since our last meeting because of Thanksgiving week. Our next meeting is 12/19, and we'll go over the long-term and short-term facilities plan, and I'm sure the temperature thing will come up. We're planning on talking about little HVAC action. I'm very excited about it. I think most of the One Campus updates were given by Jeff, but I will say that the facilities building has power, which is a big deal, and we're on track for a 12/15 completion date, unless the squall took anything out of it right now.
It's going to be a little bit later. We're still, because the heat got done later.
Okay.
So they still haven't put the finish on the floors or on the ceiling yet. So we're going to be a little bit longer, Tim.
Okay, all right.
Maybe up to a couple.
I'm working off the information I had
maybe
yesterday.
A couple, maybe up to a couple.
Maybe
of
that
weeks
squall
longer.
did come through worse than that.
That was as of this morning at 10 o'clock.
Good.
Okay, so.
And yeah, I think that's it.
Great, thanks, Tim. Annika, curriculum.
We also have not met since our last full board meeting, but our next meeting is coming up on Tuesday next week. And our strategic plan survey is set to close tomorrow. Mari and I are going to be meeting tomorrow to prepare for the Tuesday meeting, and to start to look at the responses that we've received, which are currently up to 560 responses, which is great. Would be great to see even more come through, but I'm not sure if we can expect that between now and tomorrow. But certainly, if the committee felt like it was something that we needed to keep open longer, that is something that we can discuss on Tuesday. And if board members have any feedback for us at this point as well, always happy to hear that too.
Great. Thanks, Annika. Yeah, I guess maybe be curious to look at it by the demographics at the beginning just to see if each of the groups are well represented. That was there a question like whether you're a staff or student or community member?
Yes, and you can select multiple categories, but right now it shows 146 students, 224 parents or guardians, 144 staff members, 37 alumni, 126 community members.
Okay.
So,
okay, that's helpful.
Good spread.
Great, thank you. Okay, Kim, equity.
We also have not met since our last meeting, since we're meeting every other month. I do just want to point out that the program that Lawrence Alexander was leading with our student athletes was sort of a pilot program that came out of the equity plan. And so that we're going to talk about how we can continue to improve that and what can be done. So the equity committee is on that, definitely on our radar. So yeah, Caitlin, bring that to that meeting too.
I will.
Yeah. Okay.
Great, thanks, Kim. Megan, communications.
No urgent updates. We meet tomorrow.
Great. Well, probably the naming of the school, right? Yes.
It's out there.
Yeah,
Please vote.
that's great. And that it closes next week?
The 12th.
The 12th. Okay. One thing that I was wondering when looking at the names, and just curious at what point in the process to look at this, like if other schools have the same name, like if there is another school named one of the names that we currently have, should that be a consideration?
You mean another district?
Yeah, in another district, right. Like how confusing is that, I wonder if...
That might be a question for the state. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think. There are districts that have similar name schools in Maine.
Okay.
And there doesn't seem to be a problem having that.
Okay.
And there are districts that have different, yeah, I know of several actually. But we can check that.
Okay.
Just to make sure.
Okay. I saw one that there may be a similar named school, and if that matters. I mean, obviously all of our schools are named Greeley, but, or most of them. Great. We'll vote for your favorite name. There's some great stories there that as part of that naming, so thanks for sharing. Any ad hoc committee reports? Anything that's come up since the last time we met? I know it was hard with the break that I don't think much has happened. Okay. Communications. So one thing I did want to let the board know is that our January 15th meeting, we're going to be hosting a pre-K workshop to help further educate ourselves around pre-K programming. We're putting something together for the newsletter to go out next week to the community. We're also really grateful for the work group that has been meeting and really also learning from them with the survey that went out, the results from that, to be able to share with that during this workshop in January. And we also look forward to inviting our providers to that workshop as well. So we'll be sharing some more information next week and working to plan that workshop that will be during our January 15th. So it's already on your calendar as a board meeting date. So we may just, if we have some business, we can take care of it at the end, but most of that meeting will be devoted to a pre-K workshop. So really looking forward to that. I know we've all had a lot of questions about pre-K, and just really looking forward to digging into that as a community.
Where do I sit in that meeting?
Well, we're not deliberating about actually voting on a plan, so it's just a learning opportunity. And so I would say you can share experiences as a provider, and I think as a provider, the conflict comes when we would be deliberating about an actual plan and making the recommendation. You wouldn't be able to be part of deliberations or a vote.
Okay.
But since we're not there yet, I forget the date of when we'd actually, well, I guess it would go to curriculum first and then to the board. So just in those two occasions when we're actually, it's being deliberated on and
Which
voted
hat,
on.
at that workshop, which hat should I be wearing? Should I be wearing my school board hat? Should I be wearing my?
I don't know if it.
I don't think it
Matters.
matters. I think you might want to just verbally say, I'm talking as a board member right now, or I'm talking as a provider right now.
Try to clarify.
Wear all your hats.
Yeah.
I know that we often on the board like have our it's hard with our parent and our school board hat on as well. So great. But yeah, we look forward to prepping for that meeting. And like I said, we'll be sending out a notice next week and working on scheduling that, especially with the work group that's been going on and being able to share information, have conversations about the pre-K program options. Kim.
Yeah, sorry. Going back to voting on the school name, can you remind us where we can find that ballot? I don't see it on like the One Campus website.
Yeah, I will ask Melissa about it tomorrow because I've been scouring the website to find an easy place. It does exist, but I just now accessed it through the Portland Press Herald news article. So
there's a news
I will
article?
talk about it tomorrow with Melissa and see if we can get it into a more, obvious place.
Okay.
Did you guys find it?
I just opened the same article you were talking about.
Portland Press Herald.
Yeah, I see on our, we have the strategic planning survey that's still on the homepage. Maybe something can be added.
Yeah, yeah.
Right there. Now I'm curious about the Press Herald article. That's great.
Good picture.
Awesome.
Oh, I'm not a Press Herald member.
So it is on the One Campus page, but it's one of those, it's on the right-hand side, I believe. I believe it's one of our things that keeps spinning. So you may not see it if you go there. I'm just
Keeps
double checking that.
spinning?
Nope, I'm wrong. That's actually the bid that was awarded. So yeah, we do need to make that a little more prominent.
Great. Okay. If nothing else, I'll move back to an item for action. Can I have a motion to enter executive session to discuss land acquisition pursuant of state statute MRSA 4056C?
So moved.
Thank you, Megan. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Laura. I mean, you don't have to second it if we don't want to go. All in favor? Okay. And thank you to our students.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh, yay.